The following program is produced at and funded by Linden State College, the college of the Northeast Kingdom.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
We've got more results from yesterday's election.
In St. Johnsbury, the Republicans are starting to take over.
And the race for Vermont governor ended up a lot closer than some people expected.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
The race for governor of Vermont was a lot closer than most expected. Good evening, I'm Cortland Hanley.
And I'm Camille DeLongis. That's right. As final votes were tallied today, Governor Peter Shumlin maintained a narrow lead over Republican opponent Scott Milne. The race was too close to call and will be settled by the legislature. News 7's Taylor Young was in Burlington last night with Vermont Democrats and has all the details.
The governor stayed away from the Democratic gathering for 4 hours after the polls were closed because a clear margin of victory never appeared.
We all know that tonight is a close election. We knew it was going to be a close election going in, and we were right.
As Shumlin spoke, travel agent Scott Milne, a Republican who has never ran for office before, was just 2,500 votes behind the two-term governor.
Feeling good, we got some great momentum over the last couple of weeks particularly, and I think it's going to be a close night, and we're optimistic.
Shumlin spent nearly $1 million on his campaign, 4 times as much as Milne.
As a Vermonter, I am so proud to be here standing with you tonight, knowing that we've got more work to do with numbers that are looking good and with better news tomorrow.
I feel good that I've stuck to a plan. We haven't said things that we didn't believe to try to sway people.
Because neither candidate has received more than 50% of the vote, the legislature must officially decide in January who will be the next governor of Vermont. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Taylor Young in Burlington.
Shumlin has declared a press conference in Burlington this evening to announce victory as Vermont state governor. Milne has not conceded and both candidates remain shy of 50%. Shumlin received 2,090 votes more than Milne, putting him on top by 1%. The legislature who still make the final decision on who will become Vermont state governor in January. And although Milne fell 1% short statewide, he received the majority of the votes here in the Northeast Kingdom.
The race for Congress was definitely not as close as the governor's race, as Peter Welch won by more than 63,000 votes against his closest opponent, Republican Mark Donka. News 7's Nick Oresco has more on last night's congressional race.
I am going to have an opportunity to serve Vermont for another 2 years in Congress.
Peter Welch has once again beat out Mark Donka in the U.S. House District for Congress. In all, Welch received 64% of the total votes and thinks that this country is finally headed in the right direction.
I mean, look, we got challenges, but this is not the Great Depression. This is not the Civil War. This is not World War II. And why should any of us be complaining because things are challenging?
Challenging indeed. But Welch wants to see Congress address the problems in this country. He knows that they are difficult but thinks they are solvable. He wants to see the people of Vermont start working together.
In the Vermont approach, the Vermont ethic is that we find common ground so that we can make progress together.
And with Welch remaining in office for a 5th term, there are 2 major improvements that he wants to focus on.
Congressional dysfunction. In order to solve any issues, whether it's energy, long-term deficit, making health care more affordable, you've got to have a Congress that's willing to work together. But the second major challenge is trying to restore an economy that works for the middle class and for people who are willing to work really hard. They ought to have a shot at opportunity.
And even though the outcome is not what Mark Donka expected, he knows what the real issue was.
The biggest thing is money. In order to run an effective campaign, you've got to have a certain amount of money. You've got to get name recognition. You've got to get face recognition. And the only way to do that is with money.
Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Nick Oresco in Burlington.
Now back in the 2012 election race, Welch beat out his opponents by 72% of the votes cast. whereas this year Congressman Welch stole the show again with over 123,000 votes. While the Democrat received almost 65% of the votes, Donka received only 31.13% of the votes.
The Republican Party met at the Sheraton Hotel and Conference Center yesterday for the GOP reception. News 7's Cassandra Bernier was at the event.
Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott has beat out Democrat nominee Dean Corn for his second re-election.
When we are faced with something we must do in true utilitarian fashion, we roll up our sleeves and we just do it. We must do better. We can do better. We will do better. So tonight, let's celebrate our victories and support each other in defeats, because tomorrow we will all still have to go back to work, and we have a lot of work to do. Thank you very much.
The Republicans felt confident that Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott had won another term in office. 3 hours after the voting closed, they had kept the party going. Listening to the Republican wins in the House and Senate while watching Scott Mills' numbers climb closer to Peter Shumlin's.
And over at the Democratic headquarters, Dean Corn began his concession speech after only 60% of the votes were counted.
Of course, we're disappointed that we didn't prevail, but we ran a great race. We feel very good about that.
Scott believes that more people from Vermont's community should run for government positions.
We need the voices of real Vermonters in the legislature. We need the common man and woman, the people whose boots are literally on the ground every single day.
As the night came to a close, the Republican Party won some key spots in Vermont's government. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Cassandra Bernier in Burlington.
The night ended pretty early for Lieutenant Governor Scott's opponents. Progressive Democrat Dean Corn fell to Scott, only scoring 35.96% of the votes to Scott's 62.28%.
Chittenden Senate Representative Jim Kondos has been re-elected as Secretary of State for another term. Kondos has received just under 75% of the votes, beating his opponents Ben Eastwood and Mary Alice Herbert. For this upcoming term, Kondos will focus on increasing the amount of voters statewide by creating a system of online voting registration.
We have to rise up and tell Congress no. We have to rise up and tell our friends in other states no, that we can't continue to see this voter suppression going on through voter ID laws and other things.
Kondos was re-elected with just over 126,000 votes, which translates to just under 75%. Runner-up Ben Eastwood of the Progressive Party earned just over 14%, while Mary Alice Herbert earned roughly 10% of the vote.
Vermont State Treasurer Beth Pierce of Barre has been re-elected to another term as well. The incumbent ran against Liberty Union Party candidate Murray Goima, as well as Progressive Party candidate Don Schramm. Pierce, who took over the office from Jeb Spalding back in 2011, will be entering her third term in office. Since entering office, Pierce has been an advocate for protecting taxpayer dollars statewide.
So it's about economic prosperity for all of our citizens, and at the same time maintaining a good, strong bond rating that's like your credit rating at home, managing the state's finances, trying to stretch those tax dollars as far as we can.
The state treasurer earned her re-election by receiving nearly 75% of the votes. Pierce's biggest competition was Don Schramm of the Progressive Party, who was only able to earn about 17.38% of the votes.
The 25th Vermont Attorney General was named last night. This is William Sorrell's 17th year as Attorney General, and he is the longest-serving general in the history of Vermont. Going into this new term, there are a lot of priorities that he wants to take care of. Some of those on the list include a fight on the GMO labeling law and the suing of all big gasoline companies for allegedly polluting underground water. Though he has a lot on his plate, he says he is ready to go for another term in office.
Well, I'm just very gratified. I have a great job. I'm independent, chief law enforcement officer in the state, and this is a job that has an awful lot to do with the health of our environment and the health, safety, and well-being of Vermonters. And I appreciate the support, and I've got lots of energy to get right at it for another 2 years.
Sorrell was able to sneak one out against Republican Shane McCormick in order to earn another term. Sorrell earned just over 58% of the votes, while McCormick fell short, earning just under 38%.
Democratic State Auditor Doug Hoffer ran unopposed last night and won another term of office. Hoffer is very grateful for those who voted and knows his votes were down due to the fact that he ran unopposed. However, he knows that he has a lot of work ahead of him and will keep working hard for the state of Vermont.
I'm excited about another 2 years. I love the job. I've got a good crew. We've done some good work. There's a heck of a lot more to do, so I really am anxious to get back to work.
2012 elections, Hoffer beat his opponent by 17,000 votes.
Senators Sanders and Leahy were both on hand at the Democratic headquarters last night. The senators shared their support for their fellow candidates and their hopes for the future. Leahy stood firmly behind Peter Welch, assuring the room for his future success in Congress. Sanders spoke passionately on his plans for Vermont.
Washington is not going to do what needs to be done, then it's going to have to be done at the statewide level. And in my view, there is no state in the country better positioned to move this country in a different direction than the small state of Vermont.
Sanders hopes the state can inspire the rest of the country by lowering the poverty rate and executing a successful universal health care plan. And voting at Wheelock's Town Hall closed at 7 o'clock last night, and that's when the ballot counting began. The town had a high voter turnout as 222 voters made their way to the polls. The amount of votes was greater than expected, with the number in the past years barely breaking 200. Small towns around Vermont had trouble in the past bringing in voters, but this election season lured in a large crowd.
And the number's hovering right now around 185 with 35 minutes left to vote, so we might break 200. And we don't usually break 200.
The results from Wheelock show that voters did not favor either party.
And a busy day yesterday at the town office in Sheffield with voters casting ballots all day long. 182 voters made their way to the polls, which had a higher turnout than in most recent elections. Sheffield Town Clerk William St. Peter stressed just how important it is for members of the community to cast their votes.
Well, I think the most important part about voting is basically that people should exercise their right to vote. It's the primary way that they can make their interests, their feelings, their opinions known. People can communicate with their legislators or whatever, but voting is the true representation in my.
And now AJ Waterman joins us for a first look at our forecast. AJ, it was a beautiful day outside. Is this nice weather going to stick around?
Well, it was definitely beautiful out there. We had temperatures today in the mid to upper 50s, rather warm, just about 10 degrees above average, but unfortunately it looks like the cold air is going to arrive and it's here to stay. So tonight, our current temperatures, rather, we're seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 40s, still mild. We're going to hang on to that mild air for the day tomorrow, but after that, it's going to cool down rather quickly. You can see the warmth still hanging on to southern New England as well. Temperatures right around 60 degrees. But on satellite and radar, that frontal system that moved through, that's indicative of some cold air that's going to be working in for the night tonight and over the next several days as that cold air streams in from the north to the south. Weather headlines for the next couple of days. Mild tomorrow. We're going to see temperatures continue into the upper 40s with mostly cloudy skies. But as we head into the day on Friday, this is a coastal storm that we're going to have to keep a close eye on because it's going to start as rain but potentially end as snow. And I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a couple minutes. And will we have a chilly weekend as well? High temperatures in the 30s possible, and that's going to be rather cold. Our first shot at winter, and I'll have more coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, AJ.
We've got some local results coming up for you in just a bit.
And then we'll hop over to the Granite State to bring you the latest results from New Hampshire's elections.
Two seats were open for state senator with 3 candidates running.
Incumbents Joe Benning and Jane Kitchell have claimed those 2 seats once again. Kitchell was first elected in 2004. She plans to continue finding more ways to create jobs, as well as an effective and accountable government. Benning was first elected in 2010. His top priorities after being re-elected into the Senate are to focus on fiscal responsibility and job creations.
The biggest problem that we have is that the state has a real serious financial problem in front of it. Last report, we're about $100 million short in the budget. We have a health care plan that has been nothing more than an abstract concept for 3 years now. There has never been a defined benefit package. There's never been a planned payment schedule for it, and no real idea on how much it's going to cost.
Democrat Mike Heath was unable to dethrone the incumbents. Incumbent Democrat Jane Kitchell earned the most votes, receiving 44.9% of the votes, and Republican Joe Benning earned the second seat by 35.49% of the votes.
And the Republicans overtook the Democrats in the race for state representative. Scott Beck and Jansen Wilhoit have been elected state representatives for St. Johnsbury. This will be both Beck and Wilhoit's first terms serving. Beck had the most votes at about 31%, but less than 30 votes separated Wilhoit and incumbent Michelle Fay. Fay, who had served one term, said that while she is disappointed, she is pleased with her campaign and re-election efforts.
We ran a really clean campaign about the issues, and I am proud of that. So, maybe I'd knock on a few more doors, but I'm really proud of my 2 years of service, and really proud of the way that I campaigned and kept it about the issues.
Fay said that she wishes her opponents the best of luck in their upcoming terms.
Other local winners for state representatives include incumbents Marty Feltus and Dick Lawrence, who will be serving at least one more term as the state representatives for Linden. Feltus and Lawrence each took about 49% of votes. Unopposed Connie Quimby will be serving her second term as state representative for Concord. Quimby has taken about 95% of votes. Kitty Toll, also unopposed, will be serving her fourth term as state representative for Danville. Toll took about 97% of votes. Incumbent Roy C. Vance and John Hall were the winners of yesterday's assistant judge election. Hall says he looks forward to working with Vance, for he is a good friend and will be an excellent mentor. Hall has plans to meet with Vance today to start learning things he will need when the position officially starts. He has experience in writing laws from being chair in the legislature committee, being an administrator for local and state government, and he follows the rules being a citizen. But he says there is always room to learn.
You know, obviously I was pleased. I mean, I've been in many elections and I've won a lot and I've lost a few, and it's sure nice to win them. But no, I was pleased. Good turnout at the polls, solid support, and it was a very competitive race. We had 3 people running for those 2 seats, all well qualified, all well experienced. But yes, I was very pleased to be one of the 2 winners.
The overall results of that election was Roy C. Vance with 39.84%, John Hall following with 39.51%, and Michael Roosevelt with 20.39%, and 0.25% of the vote was via write-ins. Dean Shatney won the race for Caledonia County Sheriff with 4,381 votes, which was 53%. His opponent is Danielle Kostruba, and Joel Pierce received 34.2% and 12.24% of the votes, respectively.
Maggie Hassan won re-election as New Hampshire's governor. Hassan was first elected into office in 2013 and since has expanded health care to workers as well as more job opportunities. Being re-elected, she says she plans to continue working on creating more jobs in New Hampshire by working with innovative businesses. Governor Hassan also plans to find more opportunities for middle-class families, hoping this would help move the economy forward.
By working with independents, Republicans, and Democrats, we've made progress to expand opportunity for middle-class families and support innovative businesses so they can create good jobs right here in New Hampshire.
Hassan ended up with 52.7% of the votes, while Walt Havenstein received just over 47%.
Democratic Senator Jean Shaheen will be serving yet another term as United States Senator for New Hampshire. As she is re-elected, Shaheen plans to further improve New Hampshire's education system for grades K through 12. In the past, she's worked with businesses by helping them fund proper training for new employees, and she plans to continue doing so. She has also created more job opportunities for long-term economic growth and has been an advocate for veterans, supporting them by making sure they receive the benefits they deserve.
I will fight for a smart energy policy that focuses on efficiency and new energy technologies. To end our reliance on oil and coal and fossil fuels. I will fight for a minimum wage.
Shaheen defeated Brown once again. This time she received just over 51% of the votes. Scott Brown received only 48%.
New Hampshire welcomes Democrat Ann Kuster back to the House of Representatives after winning the seat yesterday against Republican Mary Linda Garcia. Kuster has served since 2013 with a career that has been focused around finding more affordable health care and higher education for students. Other issues she plans to focus on for this term include conserving the environment, supporting veterans, and focusing on fiscal responsibility. Kuster won 55% of the votes, while her opponent, Republican Mary Linda Garcia, had 45% of the votes.
Unopposed Republican Rick Ladd is taking the seat for state representative in New Hampshire. This will be Ladd's fourth term representing the towns of Benton, Haverhill, Piermont, and Warren.
Republican incumbent Brad Bailey will be serving his second term as New Hampshire State Representative for District 4. Bailey took about 62% of the votes, while his opponent Douglas Grant took 38% of the votes. Bailey said he plans to continue work on what he started during his first term.
Again, we still have an economy that has not really taken off. I would say that we still are working very hard to try to create more new jobs or make this atmosphere in northern New Hampshire and the rest of the state welcoming to companies that want to come here. But we have a lot more competition now that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago.
Still ahead on News 7 after the break.
I got another forecast coming up, and we'll see the timing for that rain. Will we have snow or not? I'll let you know coming up next.
And working hard for awards, find out who is recognized for their dedication.
Listen to me. I am Captain.
Thanks for staying with us. It was a rather mild one today as we were running temperatures about 10 degrees above average, but take a look at these temperatures forecasted for this weekend. We're going to see highs in the 30s, so it's going to be rather cold, and that's all out ahead of a storm system for the day on Friday, which could bring us rain and even end as some snow. Take a look at the St. Johnsbury webcam today. It was a beautiful day outside, and you can see temperatures are ranging in the mid to upper 50s. If you could get out and enjoy this day today, it was a beautiful day. We may not see another day like this, at least for the next couple of weeks, as cold air is going to be in place. Current conditions outside the station right now, in the mid to upper 50s, still out there. Some cloud cover as well, but we're starting to dip down to 46 in Lebanon, and we're going to continue to see cooler temperatures into the night tonight and over the next several days. Current temperatures still warm in southern New England as well, as we have plenty of warm air out there. And as you can see, dew points as well starting to dry out. We had moisture with that cold front that passed earlier, but we're going to dry out for the day tomorrow and then see an increase in moisture for the day Thursday night and into the day on Friday. There goes the front. As we saw, it's just draped over us, and it's going to continue to progress out to sea, but a wave of energy along the front is going to be that coastal system that develops over the next day and a half or so and affect us with rain and snow for the day on Friday. Forecast for tonight, you can see clearer skies, but then we start to build in the clouds by morning. This is that system developing, and then it eventually throws some rain at us later on into the afternoon on Thursday, and eventually progresses up into our region with some potential for snow on the back side of this thing as it drags in some cooler air from southern Quebec. And as it does this, we could see a quick flip over from rain to snow, and then this thing is out of here into the Canadian Maritimes, and we clear out rather quickly with cool temperatures. So increasing clouds for the night tonight, 34 to 38 southwesterly wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, there's the 30s for us, and we'll see those increasing clouds out there for everybody. And then for the day tomorrow, afternoon showers. So those showers will arrive in the afternoon, 46 to 50. It's going to be another mild one with that southerly breeze, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, there's those showers for you. Temperature right around 50 degrees. So another mild one for the day tomorrow, but we're going to cool temperatures down later on this weekend. And check out this forecast. Killington, Vermont, they have 3 trails open, and you can see those cooler temperatures with the potential for snow over the next couple of days. And then we'll take a look at that extended forecast for you. There's those showers and storms, showers and snow, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire. So you can see that we mixed a snow at the very end of it, and then the cold air stays in place for the weekend. And then as we head into next week, it looks like another shot for some winter air working in.
All right, so as you said, a very nice day, especially for November here in Vermont. What are the chances this is the last, warm day in November?
There's a solid chance. It looks like there's some cold air starting to work in for this season. We got a shot from the Canadian air mass that's very cold that's going to be working in over the next several days. And the next week, we'll be seeing temperatures, high temperatures in the upper 20s. So
looks like winter might be on the way, huh?
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you, AJ.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
The Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce held its 20th annual business celebration Wednesday afternoon. News 7 video journalist Matt Drew brings us to the event.
Over 150 people turned out for the business community's biggest celebration of the year. The event, held at Lyndon State College for the first time, honored both Alan Tanner and Dennis Smith with the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce's first ever Employee of the Year award.
Very proud of Dennis, and grateful to the Chamber for letting me celebrate all his hard work and everything he brings to our school and our community. So great opportunity, and very happy for him.
And they're very humble.
Yeah.
And it meant an incredible amount to them, and it just turned out to be that they were both in very similar professions at two different businesses.
Lovett shared his thoughts about Smith's influential role at the Academy.
He's got a can-do attitude, and anything you ask of him, whether it's to get your car started, you got a bat in the house, he'll come in and chase it out for you regardless of the time of day. I think he must sleep with his phone because he is available 24/7.
McCann credits Brian Katrina for creating the Employee of the Year award.
And he said, we wouldn't be Weidman if we didn't have the employees that put in their hearts and their souls into this job. It wouldn't succeed for the decades that it has if it wasn't for our employees. So he really came up with the idea of singling out employees for special things that they do, sort of unsung heroes. And so that's why we did it this year.
The annual celebration has become an important tradition of the Northeast Kingdom business community.
It allows people to sort of get a snapshot of all the wonderful things that are going on in the community and region and spread the news.
Absolutely. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Matt Drew in Lyndon.
The event was a big success, and for those businesses who would like to participate in next year's event, you can contact the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. And now AJ Waterman joins us with one last quick look at the weather. AJ?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that 7-day forecast. You can see temperatures are starting to drop down, and over the weekend we'll be seeing temperatures rather frigid and lasting into next week, even a colder shot for the day on Wednesday and lasting into next week as well.
All right, well, that's all we have for tonight's edition of News 7.
For more, you can check us out at news7newslink.net.
And from all of us here at the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, have yourself a great evening.